After a decade of anticipation and a few long months of speculation, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Fate of Two Worlds is upon us at last. This venerable fighting series, renowned for its structured insanity, has finally returned with the same fire and intensity that was its hallmark. However, some deep cuts have been made, but not without good reason. At its prime, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was a game so completely dominated by a handful of characters and strategies that the majority of its design was rendered moot. Developer Capcom has since learned from this, and the changes made helped distill this game's combat into a more well-rounded experience than ever before. The result is not the most technically demanding of fighters, but is certainly one of the most enjoyable. In the extravagant world of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, there is rarely a dull moment. Divided into teams of 3, you and your opponent battle it out in one frantic, continuous round accented by dazzling finishing moves and triple-digit combos. But beneath all the pomp and circumstance, the game's core combat mechanics have been simplified and work harmoniously to propel the action forward. Once the dust clears, for better or worse, you take away a little something to add to your repertoire. There's a constant sense of progression here as you endlessly experiment with new tricks and new combinations. It's all over! Then there's the X Factor. True to its name, the X Factor is your wild card in any match. Activated by pressing all 4 attack buttons, this ability temporarily increases your character's attack power and speed, and resets his or her current animation. Its potency and duration are determined by the number of team members you've lost, making it an excellent last resort to turn the tables on your opponent. But its applications run deeper than that. The simple animation reset lets you pull off tricks that would otherwise be impossible, such as chaining 2 super moves back to back. The amount of diversity gained from something so simple makes this new feature a valuable tool rather than a mere gimmick. Combat in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is an enjoyable blend of violence and intimacy. Every character brings something unique to the experience, and the game quickly moves from the tedium of learning individual commands to the joys of mastering their timing and situational uses. Now, if you've ever had trouble perfecting the motions for these moves, the game addresses this with a new, simplified control option. Simple Mode condenses each character down into a few key moves, which can be executed at the press of a button, make it ideal for series newcomers.
I didn't even get to show you all my moves.
The game's characters are brought to life in a style reminiscent of its comic book inspirations. Each one glides through the frame smoothly and stylishly, with hard black outlines and bright colors making them pop against the slightly muted backgrounds. These stages, though severely lacking in number, are equally lavish. Each arena has been loaded with details that bring their respective worlds to life. And while the characters themselves are filled with personality, their epic struggle falls flat on its face. The game's story mode is a strange holdover from an older generation, and its inclusion feels more like an obligation than a product of creative spark.
Oops, I should have held back some.
Outside of the story mode, there are the mission and training modes, which are a good way to get started with a new character or expand your toolbox with an old favorite. Each character has 10 missions, which start out as simple moves and quickly ramp up into situational combos. The training mode is very robust. Aside from the standard accoutrements, you can record 10 seconds of inputs for a character and then play it back in real time. This is great if you want to study the specifics of a move or combo and perhaps find a way to slip in a counterattack. However, far and away the game's most important mode is online play. Everything else is preamble. Thankfully, it works, and it works well, but the online play lacks several of the luxuries found in Capcom's other fighting giant, Super Street Fighter 4. In all of our testing, the online matches ran smoothly on both PS3 and 360 versions of the game. And while small pockets of lag did occur, they were so infrequent that they had little impact on the overall experience. But outside of the matches, online mode is pretty barren. This is most obvious when you group up in a lobby with up to 8 of your buddies or total strangers. When it's not your turn in the ring, you're confined to watching the contestants' health bars move up and down in lieu of the actual match. And should you have a particularly interesting encounter, the game's complete lack of replay support ensures that your triumphant victory or crushing defeat is lost forever. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is a blast to play, despite losing some of the high-level intricacies found in its predecessor. The game is an exceptional synthesis of cohesion and chaos, and speaks volumes to the developer's growing mastery of the genre. Seeing it in motion for the first time in all its crisp, high-flying glory is an incredible sight, and thankfully, the game's controls are just as smooth as its visuals. However, when it's outside of the fight, the game stumbles and is found lacking in many of its modes. Nonetheless, this latest entry in the venerable Versus series captures the spirit of the franchise and may wear the Marvel vs. Capcom title with pride.
You make Hulk angry! You not like Hulk angry!
Live and let die!
Fight! No!
Circulate!
Never die!